Hi, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll show you how to draw an epicycloid step by step in AutoCAD. Now, an epicycloid is the curve that is traced by a point on the circumference of a circle as it rolls on the outside of another circle or an arc or a curve, depending on what you want to call it. Alright, now this here is similar to a cycloid. For a cycloid, we simply roll on a flat surface. For this one here, the epicycloid, we're simply rolling on a curved circuit surface, similar to an arc. Alright, now I wanted to take note of our question here. It says epicycloid. It says draw a locus of a point on the periphery, meaning outside of a circle, which rolls on the curved path. Alright, now it says that you should take the diameter of the rolling circle, which is 50 millimeters, and the radius of the directing circle, i.e. that is the curve as well, the curved path that the circle is going to roll on, which is 75 millimeters, and that's the radius there. I wanted to also take note of this formula here. Theta is equal to radius, which is the radius of the rolling circle, divided by the radius of the directing circle, multiplied by 360 degrees. Alright, and that 360 degrees is what the rolling circle will roll for one complete revolution on its center, or from its center. So let's get started. Now the first thing that we're going to do, and I'm wondering I want to take a different route for this one here. Alright, how should I do this one? I'm going to start things off by first drawing the path that the circle is going to roll on. So I'm going to start off with that. Yeah, that's how I'm going to start things off. Alright, in order to do that, I first need to calculate something here. Alright, I need to calculate something here. Now, we're going to be calculating the length or the angle of the arc that the wheel is going to be rolling on. You're going to see what's going to go on there. So let me pull up my calculator here. Please bear with me. Calculator. Now here is the formula. Now we know that r, the small r here, is the radius of the rolling wheel, which is the diameter is 50, so it means that the radius is 25. And this small r here, we're going to divide that small r by the large R, which is the directing circle, which is 75. So if we divide 25 by 75, we get 0.3333, so on and so forth. Now this value here, we're going to multiply that value by 360 degrees, so 360. Alright, enter. Alright, so that gives us a radius of 120 degrees. Did I say radius? It gives us an angle of 120 degrees. So we know that that's the angle. And let me just write this here. Angle of directing, and I'm just going to put curve here, alright, because it won't be a circle, it's going to be a curve, alright, or an arc, depending on how you want to look at it. Alright, so that is what is going to be here. Alright, so we need to create an arc that has an angle of 120 degrees. Alright, we also know that if a wheel is going to roll on a surface without slipping, it's going to cover the distance that is equal to its what? Its circumference. Alright, and the circumference of this circle, since the diameter is 50, and you know, to find the circumference of a circle, it's either pi d, which is the diameter, which would be pi multiplied by 50, or 2 pi r. Here we're going to use pi d, which is pi multiplied by the diameter, and we know pi is 3.14. So let's calculate that and add that information to what we have here. Alright, so let's pull that one up. Alright, let's clear what we have here. So pi d. So pi is 3.14 multiplied by the diameter, which is 50. So it means that the circumference of the circle or the wheel is going to be 157 millimeters. So we have the angle there, and we now know the distance or the length of the arc. So this will be the distance of the arc, all right, which is 157 millimeter. All right, let me stretch this one out here. So we have those two information, and the reason why I put it here is because we need to double check, or we're going to double check after we've produced a portion of the drawing. So let's get into the thing. The first thing we're going to do is draw that arc. All right, we're going to draw that arc. All right, so let's use our arc tool. All right, so you want to go here to arcs, click on the drop down menu. You can choose any one of these here. All right, I'm wondering which one I should choose. I'm going to choose the one that says start center. Yeah, I'm going to do this one. Center, start, and then the angle. Let's try that one. All right, should get the same result either way. So I'm going to go, it goes center, so specify the center point of the arc. Then it says specify the point of the arc specific start point. All right, cool. So I'm going to say that it is here. The distance that is going to be is 75 millimeter. 75 millimeter. All right, then I'm going to enter the angle of the arc. So I'm going to hold on shift, the greater than symbol, and then I'm going to enter 120 millimeter. All right, let me do that again. 120 again. All right, 120. So this is the arc that has been produced. Let me move this down a bit. That's big. I wonder if it's correct. All right, so we're going to check to ensure. All right, so from there I'm going to draw, and I'm going to double check on this here. Find the center right there and right there, and then I'll just pop on a dimension so we can see what's going on. Angle here to here should be, yeah, 120 for the angle, which we have here. Let's check to see the length of the arc. Length of the arc length should get 157. All right, so we're on track. 157. All right, 157. All right, so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to rotate this. So I'm going to go RO, enter, select my center point here, and rotate it to something that looks a bit more pleasant. All right, let me move it down a tad, like about here or so. All right, so now we have our arc. All right, and we know that from where, and I'm going to pop some dimension on this so you can see what's going on. Linear, well, not linear, that one will not work properly. Align, so from here to here should be 75 millimeter. Yes, it is. Now let's draw our circle. All right, so what we're going to do now is that, all right, so what I'm going to do from here is that I'm going to offset this line here 50 millimeters. Let me just do that. You could have probably done something else, but I'm going to try this one. O, enter, 50 millimeters. All right, isn't that amazing? All right, from there now I can now draw a line probably from here to here. I want to separate both of them in terms of like the lines, that is from there to there, and this should be one straight line. If it's not, then I'll probably have to do some modification. So from here 70, let me see. All right, all is well. It looked a bit crooked from my end, but it is perfectly fine. All right, now I know where the center of the rolling circle is going to be, somewhere along here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to enter C, press enter, find the center of this line, click, and then enter the radius, which is 25 millimeters. This is an unorthodox way of doing it, but this is just my way. All right, let me offset this line in by 25. That's this outer one here. We're going to need it later on. So O, enter, offsetting by 25 inwards like that. Perfect. All right, so things are looking up. All right, now you see this line here. I'm going to remove it just for a small bit. All right, and I'm going to draw a line from the radius from the center to the end right here. All right, now similar to how we did the cycloid, is that we're going to be selecting this line here and we're going to be doing an array. So we're going to find array right here, polar array, and then click in the center. It should divide the line into a number of equal parts. Now currently this is 6. Alright, I'm wondering if I should go 8 or leave it at 6. What should I do? Let's go with 8. Alright, but that means more work for us. Alright, let's go with 8. Alright, there's more points you have, the smoother your curves. Alright, so that's 8 point now, should be 8 point. Enter. Alright, now once we have done so, the next thing that we're going to do, and we can probably move this over a bit so you can see. So this is the directing circle. Now similar to what we did with the cycloid, is that we're also going to be dividing this line here, or this directing arc here. Now we can either divide this, or we could divide this. It doesn't matter, because what I'm going to do next is going to negate anything that we do afterwards. Alright, so I'm going to use this line here. Alright, I'm going to divide this line into the same number of division that I did for my rolling circle. So it's going to be 8. So I'm going to type div and press enter, click on this line here, and then enter 8, and then press enter. Again, if you watch my other video, you're going to type PT on your keyboard at this point and press enter. Change it from this dot here to one of the others. I recommending doing absolute and then going, let's go 1 here and OK. Alright, yeah, they're small and they're there, but they're not too intrusive. Alright, now from there, now I'm going to draw some lines from the center to here. Alright, so that's where it's going to be. Also note that these lines, I recommend you extend them so that they touch this outer line here as well. So go EX on your keyboard, press enter, or you can click on the outer line first and then type EX, press enter, then you select both these lines, and that should extend them all the way to the outer portion there. Alright, now let's continue. L, enter, from here to the center, then back up here to make things easier. Here to the center, then back up here. Here to the center, then back here. Alright, just like that. Then now you extend them to touch this outer arc here. So EX, press enter, and then you extend those over. Alright. Alright, now that they're all there, the one thing that is missing, and I would encourage everybody to do this, is that you go ahead and number or label your different points. Alright, so here, let me go here, text. As we know, this is going to be O. We're going to call here P for point. Alright, and similar process of labeling the points going around, and then label these as well. Alright, so I want you to pause here and then we'll label the different points, or maybe I'll just show you. Let me just show you. So text multi-line, that's P right there, or 8 if you want to call it that. This point is going to be 1. Let me place this on my annotation layer, and let me copy these points and place them where they need to be, and I'll go through afterwards and rename them. Alright, and these are the part that nobody will like. Alright, there are other techniques of getting the numbers all the way around. You'll find them in other videos that I've done. Alright, so I'm going to go through now and rename these. So this one here is 2. We're at 3 now. 3, 4, 5, on to 6. Now if we had 6 point, then you know would have been finished by now. So this is 6, 7, 7, and then lastly 8, which is also P. Alright, now let me go ahead and place a circle here on my object layer. Alright, now everything from this point here is going to remain the same. So we're going to be tracing the point of P as it rolls along this curvature here. That's this one here. So that's where it is actually rolling on. The wheel is rolling on that curvature. Alright, now similar to what we did when we did Cycloid, all we're going to be doing is that we're going to be moving or making a copy of this here and simply rolling it or moving it on these points going around the circle. Alright, that's what we're going to be doing. Alright, now we're going to be moving it and we're going to be placing it in the center of these here. So our base point is going to be the center right here. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. So let me go ahead and do what we have done in previous video for the cycloid, in that we're going to simply copy everything here, group it, so when we're moving we don't have any issues. So let me copy this here and put it off to the side. Alright, there we go. And then now I'll group this. I'm going to group it. Alright, now the first thing we're going to do is that, remember all these points here as numbers. So again, we have, let's see if we can do it. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is number 8 line, if you want to think about it like that. So we could call this C in the center here. That's what we're going to call this, C. So this is C. Alright, point C that is. And if we're going to copy this, we could call here C1, C2. Let me turn off OSnap for this. C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, now I'm sounding like a Corvette, and C8 finally. Alright, so this one will be C8. So I'm going to type 8 here. I want it to be like that. So that's how I want it to look. This is C7. Alright. C, so if this is an SBA piece that your teacher would have given to you, then you could use this technique here. C6. Alright, because remember, you're being marked for your labeling and annotation and all that stuff, so you must do those and add your dimension. It is very important that you add your dimensions. Alright, because if your teacher gives you marks for dimension when you don't have any dimension, it means that when the moderator from CXC gets to your school and is looking at your SPA, you're going to lose those valuable marks. Alright, 4, C4. We're at C3 now. C3. Alright, excellent. C2. Alright, and then around here we have C1. Alright, C1. Alright, excellent. Took a bit of time, but at least we know that it's done now. So when we're moving our little photo camera here, we can see what is going on. Alright, so let's kick things off. So I'm going to draw some circles from O here so that it intersects with 1. Then we're going to do the same thing for, I want to ensure that I'm on the right spots and I'm not snapping to the wrong thing. Alright, cool. So that's that one there. And then I'm going to draw another one from that center again. There's so many spots here, I have to ensure that I'm snapping to the right one. I'm going to do it to 2 now. But you know, 2 will also pass through 6, one will pass through 7. Oh, I definitely know that this is not where it should be right now. Let me redo that one. Circle from the center to 1. Alright, and 1 should pass through 7, 2 should pass through 6, and 3 is going to pass through 5. Alright, so let me add those circles or curvature or arc, whatever you want to call them. So we're at 3 now. Alright, and then finally it will be 4, and 4 curvature is already there. So let's clean things up. Let me use this as a cutting plane and here as a cutting plane, and then type TR and press enter and then get rid of those lines there. Okay. Alright, so things look a bit confusing now. Let me see if I can clean up some of it a bit in terms of like changing the color. Brown, and these here, let me just change them to, except for the center one, I'm going to change these to blue so we can differentiate, or you can differentiate as we're going through. Alright, so let me just go through and sort this one out. Alright, yeah. Alright, so let's have a look at things now. Now, how are we going to do this? Now, our circle that we're going to be using as our little camera, placing it at C1, then C2, then C3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then finally C8. Now that we're at this stage here, alright, now you'll recall again the cycloid that we did where we simply move our circle along the point here. I'm thinking about, instead of making it so complicated, I'm going to simplify things even further, since we have so many lines running all over the place. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a little reference circle similar to this one here, same radius, same exact thing. So I'm going to draw a circle. Let me draw that circle. Alright, with center being here and opening it to C right there. Alright, then now I'll move the center of that new circle that I've created to C1. Alright, now that it's at C1 right there, our center point 1, wherever this circle cuts our one curve or arc here, that's where our first point, well, our second point is going to be, because our first point is going to be at P right here. Alright, our next point is going to be right here. Once we have that point on number 1 curve, we're simply going to move our circle to C2 or center 2. Alright, once you're at center 2, wherever it cuts our 2 line, here it is, that's where we're going to put another point. That's right here. Alright, then now we'll move to what? C3. Wherever it cuts this number 3 line or the number 3 arc, we're going to place a point there. And then now we move to C4. C4 is right there. And as expected, it touches the 4 line at the top right here. Alright, so we're halfway through. So now let's make our way to C5, and things should start turning down now. C5, center right there. And here is our 5 curve. Our 5 curve comes around. Here is where it touches, so let's add a point there. Let's make our way to now C6, center. C6. Where does it cut our 6 line? Where is our 6 line? Here is our 6 curve. Our 6 arc. Here's where it cuts it, so we add another point there. Now we're at 7, almost there. Moving it to 7, C7, C7 right there. Wherever it cuts the 7 line, here is our 7 arc. And the circle cuts our 7 arc. Where is it? 7. Right here. So let's add a point. And then C8 will close things off when we do move it. Center to here. we'll add a point right there to close things off. All right. So after it's make one complete rotation, that's how things will pan out. So now let's draw our locus. All right. So we're going to go to, let me switch my layer to this one here, object, draw tab, spleen, starting at P right here. We're going to make our next stop at, this is going to be P1. Let's make our next stop at, this would be what, P2.2. Hope I snapped to the right thing. No, I didn't. Right there. All right. Now the next point is going to be, where is it? Let me ensure that I'm there. Yeah, right here. Where am I? C3. Yes, C3, C4. I don't know where that came from. It must have snapped when I was clicking about. Now let's make our way to now C6 right here, aka P6 or 0.6. Now we're here, making our way through to this point now, and then finally we close things off there. Let's move our cursor a bit and then press enter. All right, now what will this look like in reality? Let me go ahead and turn on that there, and let me just switch some of these around so you can see exactly what is going on with these here. All right, escape and select all of these here and place them on my construction there. All right, so as you can see, this is what your epicycloid will look like. All right, I would also encourage you to label these points. So this would be P1, P2, P3, P4. So as you can see, this would be P4. Similar to how you have C4 here, this would be P4. So that's center 4, and this is 0.4 on our epicycloid. 0.4 on our epicycloid. 0.4 on our epicycloid. Alright, so you go through and you label those points and dimension the points as well to ensure that you get your marks. Alright, so let's have a look at it. Here it is. Remember, things that are going to be on construction layer, things that are going to be on the relevant layers that you have already set up. Here we have our dimension. Our dimension, you know, is going to be on our designated layer. This here, it's a circle, so you know you're going to have to use diameter for this one here, and it is a dimension. All right, so have a look at that. There you go. And that is how you draw an epicycloid in AutoCAD. In the next video, I'll show you how to draw a hypocycloid. Alright, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more AutoCAD tutorials. See you in the next one.